Linden then was a good place. When I came to Linden in 1973, I had the opportunity to choose where I want to work. So I wrote Lynn Mine, I wrote National Insurance in different places. And then responses came positive. Then I decided where I should work. We had about 4,000 plus persons at the bauxite company and about 2,000 persons working with contractors. Apart from that, you had a lot of logging. So many things were going on in Region 10. It was a time when if you want to build a fence, you don't call a carpenter. You wait at weekend, you cook a pot of food, neighbors come over and you build a fence. Those were the good days. Then we tumbled into some issues around like 1982, the time of rice flour and a time of a lot of stress. I remember we had a strike weekend in 7/7/1977. I remembered it because that was the month I got married and the year I got married, so I remember it. And that strike, I think, went on for about 6 weeks. And you get a sense that things start to change, emerging out of this strike, animosity, who take this side, that side. Nevertheless, people still look forward to coming to Linden. And then there's a period which I call the years between. Just after the 1992 election, I was working then Ministry of Agriculture, still living in Linden. Loan 839 is Government of Guyana IDB project. From then on, things start to go downhill. In all of you recognize there started to be a downturn in the bauxite industry. So once you get a shortage of cash, people now start to the kind of atmosphere and environment that we lived in start to be eroded. More people now struggling to live, and you go 93, 94, 95, 96. I think were some of our worst years. It's like everybody turned away from Region 10. Investors, people don't want to come home, and the healthy social mix that we had gradually started to erode. Those were the years of Yellowman, Michigan and Smiley, dangerous diseases. Dangerous diseases I remember things because of dates, 1985, 84, 85, I was out again then. But that's the kind of culture, the bubble culture took serious root like 85, 86, and then in the 90s, serious. So we have like a foreign culture now. Start to put its mark on Region 10. I guess all again, but I'm talking for Region 10. We got a rise in Linden of people wearing locks, more people wearing locks, more persons rocking to reggae. Church-wise, nearly all the churches in Region 10 had a good string band. Region 10 was noted for good musicians, good artists, you name it. In the arts, we were there. And in this period from 92, you got this migration. Who can't get a job, they're going to work on a boat. A number of our musicians are still working on cruise boats, etc., etc. I'm a musician too. So culturally, or in the area of arts, we start to go down. Music teachers migrate. We still have two and they're aged. Music teachers, bands break up because of funding. Cannonball used to be funded by the bauxite company. And with all the shake-up in the bauxite company, there's no more cannonballs. I don't ever think we have three-string band right now in Linden. So the type of rich Linden culture of music start to gradually move away, bands move away, and there was an influx now of the big sets. And the big sets brought in, I'm still speaking socially, yeah, big sets brought in a different, that is what you call the back ball culture, the big sets. So string band out, the DJ, that's the thing. The DJ culture, man got a mic and he just talk over a song, etc. It is said, I'm speaking without empirical evidence because I'm a statistician, that this would have caused some amount of erosion in the society as it relates to culture, how we behave, how we dress, etc. And if you note, we start to take on a more kind of Jamaican kind of talk. Even with DJs trying to sound like Jamaicans. So we have eroded the original Linden vibe, if you understand, to something that is not us. Economically, that was some of the worst periods for us. Real tough, high unemployment. Even the most of the contractors working here came from outside of Linden. And they walk with everything, the rice, the sugar, the food, everything. So even coming in the community to build a road and spending 3 weeks to 6 weeks, they didn't buy anything here. That was a very, very, very tough period. It was a time too when, this might be walking back a bit, but I remember when we had to deal with, this is somewhere around 89, this is just looking back, when we had to deal with the Nasset gang. I remember that clearly when we had some murders in Linden when the late President Hoyt moved to the gallows, and I think that put a halt in the Nasset gang because people recognize if you kill somebody, a rope going around your neck. But that is in the past. Young people, it was a time of neglect as it relates to sports also. All our schools, we had a period in Linden when we used to go to Geister games. Sports in Linden was a big thing. It promoted a lot of people. People went off to university and went to different things. But from 92 onwards, we saw a downturn in kind of sporting activities in school. Schools had sporting officers. We used to do well, every school, but then things went down. So that would affect our young people. A lot of our young people, unemployment, the things that will, good distraction like music, sports, weren't there. So a lot of our young people turned to all kind of deviant behavior in Region 10, while some still did well in school. Our teachers were frustrated. It's not that they've met this space now of utopia of complete happiness. But a lot of people are frustrated in that you know where we were. And you expect any shift, any movement should be upward. But we were registering a minus continually. So in the area of sports and young people, great setback. Even in the churches, and I'm part of the church, even in the churches, migration, people unemployed. The church has now gone into big social, nearly all the churches in Linden right now have social programs, welfare programs, I should say. And that is a backdrop on where we came from over the past 2 decades. Yes, you're scaling down as things change, but these things emerge during those 2 decades. I call it scorched earth period. I'm going to use a word here, I don't know if you're acquainted with this, but we felt in Linden that we were actually living in a Russian gulag. Or the German Bergen-Belsen, it's a prison camp. It was tough on us. Decisions were made for Lindeners outside of Linden. So it's not that you had a say, well, I don't want this or I don't want that. It was made outside. Then comes the time of the election. We had a period in Linden of destabilization, ups and downs, that was internal. And then came the election. People voted for change. And this is where we are right now. I would normally say this period is like we're trying to raise the Titanic. Because we have fallen so low. During the 90s, 20s, early the fact that nothing was being done here right now, well, I guess we're putting a dent in it. But the last study we did in 2005, we were importing 85% of our foodstuff into Region 10. So you could imagine. So when 2005 flood came, and those farm agriculture producing areas inundated, we'll be in trouble where foodstuff is concerned. I mean, that caused us to, those of us who are, I was at the RDC here as a counselor then, to look to see how we could alleviate. We had a study done by this consultant from Trinidad. I was a consultant with a group, Vakati and Associates, looking at food security in Region 10. Open my eyes to where we were. Now that we have this change, our emphasis greatly is, and if you look around the office, you notice a lot of seeds there. I notice the plastic, which is for shaded agriculture. A lot of emphasis is being placed on scaling up local food production. But remember that you would have developed over the past 2 decades a culture where you're producing anything. The person that would have born in that period, how do you get that person to go and plant? Even the person who entered that period at age 10, 20 years, that's 30, you have a real tough time to convince young people that agriculture is a good pastime or a good economic venture. So right now the RDC, our focus is, as I said, like we are raising the Titanic. Everything in ruins. You're trying to build back now. So you're trying to build back agriculture. There got to be dialogue with people, help them to understand how important it is to plant your own food, to be independent, self-sufficient. We are working with farmers, Linden. Now we got to take this job now to Ichuni, Kokwani, and the Borbis River. We are preparing to go to Borbis River, maybe the next 2 weeks. And the same message to persons is to plant. The thing is, in times past, the farmers in Borbis River had a boat, used to go in, buy the produce, bring it out. So if you're farming, you know for sure that every which day, a boat comes. The previous administration sold that boat. And then that boat stopped going to the Borbis River altogether. Then there will be a glut. And then you see the diminishing returns. People stop farming because where are we going to sell these things? And then we had a situation where after so much food in the fields, monkeys, I was right here as a councillor, invaded the field. So if we're going back to Borbis River and we're saying to persons you need to plant, you got to look the whole integration line backward and forward in terms of planting, marketing, everything. So that's going to be tough. If you ask a man to put down 4 acres of corn, where is the market? How do I get my produce from Kimbia to the market? So these are some of the issues we have to be dealing with right now. Now that we have a new council and a new mayor, we are working in tandem to deal with the issues in Region 10. The RDC alone can't do it, the council alone can't do it. And based on meetings that we have had over the past week, we are meeting almost every day, looking at different strategies. How do we? So we started first of all with our farmers, and we are negotiating with a prospective business person to have our farmers produce cassava. And we are waiting, like next week, I think, we could be signing a contract. I hopefully like this year signing a contract, but we went through the discussions, the talks, etc., what kind of cassava they wanted. So we're saying some of the farmers will be taken care of there. Youths in particular, we spoke with one investor who is already here, who's doing clay bricks. He's located in Amelia's ward. We had GWI, did some hiring. We had meetings right here. We said, look, could you hire X amount of persons? I could tell you that it did. We have an investor. What we're doing right now, though, to scale up employment is talking to investors. One of the things the president said to me in coming to this job is, Mr. Moran, I want you to create an environment with the help of everybody in Region 10 that people feel safe coming to Region 10 and invest. An investment is never a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon. Hence, we are working, talking to people, bringing down that tension and animosity. This was internal. So investors are looking on, looking at our trajectory, seeing where you've started, what's been happening every week, and people are recognizing that we are moving in the right direction. The kind of internal combustion that we had over the past 3 years, we are working assiduously with the churches, with organizations, with people. It's not that it's over, but once people look and see that you're not going in the direction of confrontation, it's best you sit with persons and talk and share. Some don't want to sit and talk, I tell you, but that's the right way to go. So investors are looking on. We are working to produce some brochures for the 50th anniversary from Council and RDC. But outside of that, we're online. We're talking to businesses, and people are telling other persons. I will tell you that we don't have space in Linden for the amount of persons, let's say space, I mean with hotels and guest house, who want to come to Region 10 for the 50th anniversary, who haven't come home for the past X amount of years. They would have seen that we are a bit safer. The environment is more conducive for people living in harmony, so they're coming home. But I want to get back to the point I raised earlier. We recognize bauxite, sugar, gold, the traditional earners, they aren't doing so well internationally. Hence, people are turning. We are now looking at the next frontier, which is oil and rare earth as the next frontier. But those things take a long time. So we are working and talking to business persons all over. There are persons looking to come here, showing interest, they want to set up an oil refinery in Region 10. There are persons looking at our old airstrip. There are persons looking at aluminum plant. The thing on the ground, though, is while people are looking, people want to see things happening right now. And there's where the pressure comes on us, the leaders, to do two things: to attract investors who will take time to look and understand where we at. They want to invest. So this morning I had a meeting again with the mayor, and the discussion was investment. And we were sharing those who want to come, how many persons want to come. I could tell you, the Adams family, they came in about 2 weeks ago, brought their concept document to me. I introduced them to the president, and that's where they are. They want to do agriculture, processing, etc. Once that happens, good for us. There's a guy came from London doing clay bricks. The president did highlight that each region is supposed to be self-sufficient, because his vision is to turn each region into a town. Hence, you have to have an economic base, but that's what we're talking about. Hence, we were asked to do a plan. The plan originated from a number of consultations all across Region 10, about 18 consultations. We heard from persons. Let me tell you, the cry from the people in all the consultations, the bottom line was employment and a better life. Whatever you're going to do, the output must be a better life for all of us. We had consultants from Georgetown, local consultant, other agencies, town council, Linden Chamber, came in and we sat and talked for about 6 weeks, can't remember the time, and came up with a plan of action for regional development, which the acronym is PARD. The part is divided up, it's a 5-year plan divided up into years, year 1, year 2, year 3, yeah. So in 2016, there are benchmarks that we have set for 2016. But the bottom line is employment. So whatever area that we are pointing to, we need to reduce the unemployment figures that we are getting in Region 10 from last year after the election, 41%. From the level of the RDC, we are working on a novel program. We looked at if we could raise $48 million, we could be able to place 200 young people. And I don't want to spell out how young is young, because that is still debatable when I meet with the team, what are the ages. But I have numberless applications, 6 subjects, 7 subjects. So we're hoping if we could attach 200 young people in the first instance to agencies, we call it like a work readiness program, where at that agency you're having a 1-year experience. And we hope during that time to be able to help those persons to go to LTI and extend the studies. I've written a lot of agencies, and I'm using this opportunity again to appeal to all the agencies that we would have sent letters to in this appeal for funding to get this program off the ground. We want to launch this program sometime later down in May. I'm appealing to agencies that these monies are going to young people. It's a very, very worthwhile project. And it's $48 million is a small investment when you think if you allow them to run wild, the amount of money we got to spend for prisons and all kind of other services to rehabilitate them. Right now they're good to go. We've spoken to a number of agencies, Office of the President. We are still writing letters up to this stage. We sent letters to banks. We got a response, positive response from banks, positive response from Office of the President, positive response from Linden Economic Network, and we're waiting for the agencies. We are hoping that investors and these youths will collide at some point. So you don't have after maybe 2 years to go down this road. So you're looking to scale up investment, talking to investors. Let me tell you this, if we got in Region 10 3 huge investors, trust me, you don't need a work readiness program. You don't need it. So you're hoping that while you're working, on one hand promoting the youth to get a work readiness, and you're talking to investors, at some point this program and investors will collide, and you don't need that program anymore. As it relates to public infrastructure in Region 10 and the plan, we feel that we've outlived this building, because the RDC really should be the agency that is looking over the whole development in Region 10, which means we'd have to take on more technical staff, more qualified people, etc. So we're looking for a site for a new building. I know the study and the testing of soil, we have the funding in 2016 to do that. So you could rest assured that in 2017, but in 2016, all the necessary studies and drawings and soil testing for this new building, the whole focus is that the RDC should, the function that it was brought to do. When the RDC started, the RDC was supposed to be the hub of employment and development, but somehow it lost that mandate. President Green just taking it back along that route. So as it relates to public, apart from that, we are thinking about the linkage between Linden and Kokwani. The movement of goods and services is too costly on this stretch of road that we have there. And if you could have a modern highway or road, if you want to call it, it would bring down costs, it would open up more lands for business, and this decentralization and decentralization. Everything is centralized right now. If you notice in Georgetown, businesses are going out of Georgetown, which is cramped. So if you could do Linden, Kokwani, Linden Aichuni Kokwani Road, Linden to Letham Road, all the corridors along the road, people would want to go do different things, manufacturing, etc., etc. So public infrastructure, putting those things back in place. If you look around Linden, nearly all of our roads last year were in terrible state. We did some roads, and thanks to the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, who responded in a timely manner to our call to assist us in building roads. If you go around Linden now, you'd recognize that road works are continuing. So we're looking at our infrastructure. Wear and tear, drivers complain, more money to repair. You never got jobs, but there's more money to repair the cars, service the cars, etc. So we are doing a lot of work on the ground. The populace is looking for money to earn. So you're caught between a terrible situation where, yes, you have to get jobs to people, But before you get jobs, you got to get the kind of infrastructure that will attract investors, etc.